Okay, so everyone can see my screen and hear me well, right?
What
Yeah.
are the
Okay, so as I said, in term four, we're going to start with also something similar to the earth science that we studied about in term three, but this time studying about the ocean floor, and we're actually comparing it with the earth's surface, and we'll see how similar it is and how also different it is sometimes. Okay, in this chapter we'll also study about the water movement, how it differs, like we have currents, we have waves, what is the difference between them, but this is in lesson 2. So yeah, basically this whole chapter is, as I said, about the Earth's oceans. Okay, I hope you will enjoy this chapter too, because it will show you another perspective of the ocean. Like it's not only just water and we swim in it and that's it. It's actually more than that. Okay, so in lesson 1, as I said, we're studying about the basics, like what are the terms we're supposed to know. First, we have salinity. Have you ever heard about this word before? Have you
No.
ever heard about the word salinity? Anyone?
no? It's
No.
salinity.
Salinity, yes. This highlighted word.
Ocean,
Salinity.
oceans does not have salties water on Earth.
The what?
Oh, the
Oh,
amount of salt and water.
yes, it's the amount of salt in water, how salty the water is. Because not all oceans are the same salty. Okay. We have, for example, the Dead Sea. Do you guys know the Dead Sea?
Yeah,
Dead Sea.
heaviness.
We call it Dead Sea because it's so salty. It has the highest amount of salt that we actually do not consider it a sea anymore. Like when people ask what is the saltest sea in the whole world, people will say, "Oh, it's the Dead Sea." But because the Dead Sea is so salty and no organisms can live in it because its salinity is so high, we actually have the Red Sea in Egypt. Red Sea is actually the saltest sea because we don't consider the Dead Sea a salt sea anymore because it doesn't contain any organisms in it.
It have
Okay.
coral or something like this.
Yes, it
A
has
lot.
coral reefs. All the salinity and how clear the water is helps these corals to grow. But what I'm talking about is that, guys, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what
Yeah.
is meant by salinity again? It's the amount of salt in the water. Okay. How much salt in the water? So some people know that the Dead Sea, for example, is the saltest of them all, the one that contains the most amount of salt. It's right,
The,
okay,
the Red Sea.
but we actually do not consider it that because it doesn't have much organisms living in it. But why do you think the Dead Sea has most amount
Because,
of salt? Like
because
why
it have organisms inside it.
it doesn't have organisms in it? Organisms don't live in the Dead Sea, not much as the Red Sea, for example, but it's because, have you ever, guys? I'm sorry. Do you guys remember the water cycle? When we talked about the water cycle,
Yeah.
evaporation,
Yeah.
condensation, precipitation.
Evaporation, concentration,
Yes. So
precipitation.
evaporation happens when the sun heats the the water surface, and all the water turns into gas or evaporates, and then it moves up to the sky, and then it condenses or turns into liquid again, forming the clouds, and then the clouds will precipitate or I'm sorry, it will cause the rain to fall.
Yes.
But what you guys need to know is that it's only the fresh water that evaporates. Okay, what does that mean? So let me show you something here.
No.
So we don't have anyone else in the waiting room now. Okay, guys, can you see this picture in front of you?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's showing you what happens to a salt solution. Salt
Salt
solution means that
ocean.
I dissolved dissolved or mixed salt with water. So you guys know when I mix salt with water, the salt disappears because it becomes
Dissolve.
a whole part of the water, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but still, we still have the water and the salt in the salt solution. Now, the salt is kind of one part of the water itself. But once I start heating this water, just like the sun heating the ocean surface, all the water or the fresh water only will evaporate or will turn into a gas, leaving all the salt behind. Okay, this is how they get the salt from the sea. Do you know
Okay.
the salty places here in Egypt and here in Bursaid, Malahat? Do you know Malahat?
In Port Fuad,
In
not
Bursaid.
in
Yeah, it was
Bursaid.
still in Bursaid.
Yes, I
That
went
is a
there.
part of Bursaid. Yes.
I went there one time. I
So,
went,
do you know this place?
yeah.
Yes. Well, this is how
Yes,
they
I
get
went there once.
salt. Yes, this is how they get salt from the sea. They kind of evaporate all the water or get rid of all the water, and only the salt is left behind. That means you guys can actually
Once I
get
think.
salt from the sea. It's easy. I know. Let me remind you of something. When you go to the Red Sea, when you go swimming in the Red Sea, and you're wearing your clothes, and you did not wash them after that, okay? What do you see after that? Like you didn't wash them well. Sometimes you can see that there is kind of red, I'm sorry, white color on
Dots.
your clothes.
Yeah. Sometimes, but not
Right.
a
Yes.
lot.
Sometimes when we don't wash our clothes well, like the clothes we used into swimming, we can see some white lines in the clothes. These white lines are actually salt because all the water evaporated. The salt is left behind. So this is what happened. What happens when you evaporate the water? So it's the same as the water cycle. So what happens in the Dead Sea is that all the water, or most of the water, is evaporated because it's so hot over the Dead Sea. Okay? So most of the water evaporates, leaving more salt behind. So that means salinity will increase a year after year. And it doesn't have much rain, so all the water that evaporates doesn't actually come back to the sea. Do you guys understand that? Do you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So that's why it
Yes.
stays salty forever.
Yeah.
Yes,
I get it. Thank you.
you're welcome. So one of the factors that we'll talk about it in the oceans is salinity again, and it's the amount of salt in water as we mentioned. So what is salinity again? Huh? It's the amount
The
of
amount of salt in the water.
yes, the
Yeah.
amount of salt in the water. And oceans don't have the saltest water. It's actually the seas, not the oceans. Like I can see the saltest ocean is because oceans don't have that much of salt in them because they're so huge body. I'm sorry, they are so huge body of
Miss,
water.
what is this man doing in the picture?
He's diving.
That what is he holding?
I think so. He's picking up salt.
It's a flashlight.
Flashlight?
Yes, and an extra oxygen tube. Okay, so anyway, the oceans don't have saltest water, as we said. It's actually the sea. So the Dead Sea, as we said, is so salty, and it's found in we can say Palestine and between Palestine and Jordan. Okay, and the amount of water that evaporates from it is it's more than the water that comes into it. So that means it stays salty forever. In here, he's showing you a picture of a sea. Can you guys see that? All these white parts. Can you see these white parts down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is salt
Salt.
actually. Salt, yes. All the water evaporated, leaving the salt behind. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. We have other factors that affect the oceans, okay, other than salinity. For example, we have temperature. How do you think temperature will change with the depth
I
of water?
know. I know.
The sun.
I know. It's how hot or cold is something is.
Yes, this is temperature. This is what we mean by temperature. How hot or cold is it? Thank you so much, Shlok. Yes, that's right.
You're welcome.
But how do you think the temperature will change with ocean depths? Like as we go deeper in the ocean, do you think the temperature will increase, like it's
Increase.
becoming hotter,
Increase and
or
light will
will
become
decrease
less.
and the
Increase,
depth
miss,
becomes
increase.
In-
colder?
Increase.
it
The
will be
acid
colder.
will be
It will be
colder, miss.
colder.
Will be colder.
Colder
Yes.
means it will decrease,
That's
not
it.
increase.
Increase means it's going to be 59 degrees, 59 degrees,
Yes,
so it'll be
increase means it's going to be hotter, actually,
And there's less
but
light.
decrease means it's going to be colder. Yes, so that's right.
so
As we go deeper in the oceans, the temperature tends to decrease or gets colder and colder because the surface of the water is actually warmed by the
the
sun,
sun.
right? Yes. So
Yeah.
as we go deeper, the light of the sun starts to decrease or kind of disappear. So there's no other source of heating. That's why the temperature gets colder as we go deeper in the oceans.
Yes.
That's right. Thank you so much, Udaish, Lok, and I think it was Tanahi who said that.
Tanahi.
Yes.
Tanahi.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. So, yeah. So, number
Well,
one, we have the temperature. Number two, we have the light. Do you think it gets darker or lighter as we go deeper in the
Darker.
ocean?
Darker.
darker.
That's right. It
Darker.
gets darker with depths. That's right.
I
Yes.
said that.
Because water
Right.
absorbs
Light
the
and
light,
reflects the light.
and
Reflects the light.
gradually
Yes.
gets darker until there is no light at all. It's kind of like
Yeah.
100%
And then you find
dark.
the fish that is light and Z.
Then you will need a
What?
flashlight to see.
Someone's talking. Yes?
Zed.
Yes, you need a flashlight on the water.
Yes, you
If you
need
go,
flashlight in some, yes, in some depths. But other
go,
deep parts of the ocean, you guys cannot actually reach. Humans cannot reach those depths.
yeah,
So yeah, other
because there are
machines can
animals
do
that
that.
continue in seconds.
Other machines can do that.
Yes, yes. Miss,
And ocean is the twice
there's
size
a
of
fish.
Mount
Guys, a
Everest.
lot of people are talking and I can't understand what's going on. So please raise your hands. We have Zain. He wanted to say something. Yes, Zain.
Miss, is there a fish that has a light on his forehead and can't close his
Yes,
mouth?
anglerfish. Actually, most of the fish or most of the animals that live in deep sea, they have kind of bacteria
Light.
that, yes, causes light or kind of eliminate the way for them. And they use the light for different reasons to attract the mate, يعني to attract her husband or
Oh,
his wife, or to attract the food. If you guys remember in Nemo, there was a light they were
yes,
following, and then they discovered a huge fish, which is the anglerfish. Remember that
yeah.
in the movie Finding Nemo? Remember the
Yes.
movie? Yes. So this is the anglerfish. Most of the organisms that live actually in the deep oceans or the deep water, they do have bacteria that causes light or eliminates light, so they can actually move in this dark. But they use the light not to see the road or to see the water. And it does not work as a
He used
flashlight,
to get food.
but actually it works as an attraction for the food.
To attract things, I think so.
Yes, to attract the food for them, and
Or
also
their family or
to
their
attract
group.
other mates. Okay. So temperature, we have light. Those are two important factors that we find it changing with depth in the ocean. The last thing is actually the pressure. Can you guys imagine if the pressure increases or
I know.
decreases?
The pressure increase as soon as you go under the earth, under in the ocean or
Well,
sea.
yes, we're talking about the Earth's
Because
layers.
the
And we
water
said
has pressure.
that the pressure increases as we go deeper in the Earth's layer. That's right. Well done. Yes. But what happens with the water? Well, can you guys imagine going?
Because the water all press on you.
Yes, that's right. The
Yeah.
water will press on you. That's right. Well done. So imagine going down in the water for 10 meters, 10 meters only. So it's like under the 10 meters, it's like a whole 10 meters of water pressing down on you. What if you want into the depth of, we say, 30 meters? Can you imagine that?
It should be really hard to get back up. You need a chain or something from the above the ground to take you up back.
Well, you can
Because
go up, 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 but you will need to take rests in between. Like, I want you guys to imagine now this is the water. Just let me draw it to you. Okay. So we
Miss,
went like this is the water. We have different layers of the water. Okay. So I want you guys to imagine it with me. And here you are. Let me draw you with um, a heart in here. So this is you guys, okay? The heart is you. Can you see my screen?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
So first we have here 10 meters,
minor. Okay.
10 meters, okay? Here up there. This is 10 meters. And you guys are diving in here as the heart is found. So it means that the whole 10 meters of water is actually pressing down on you, okay? Now you move deeper. So we have 30 meters, for example. And you guys are now here. Okay? Can you imagine that? What's going on now?
40 meters is pushing down
Well,
me.
it's like 40 meters of water. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's pressing down
No,
on you. This is what we
it's
mean by
actually
pressure.
30, Miss.
Yes?
Miss, it's actually 30. Add 20 to the
Oh,
10.
yes, 30. I'm sorry. It's now 30 because we still have 10 with us. So it's 30, not 40. Yes, well done. So it's now 30 meters of water pressing down on you.
Yes.
Can you imagine that?
Yes. If you
Yes?
go down, it's like that. If I go down the 10 meters and then go down the 30, the 10 meters doesn't push you, like
It
doesn't.
still pushes you. It's considered with the 30. Like 10,
Yes, it's
20,
40.
and then 30. No, not 40, Habibi. It's still 30. You know,
You
10,
go to,
10 is the same with 30 here. Yani it's still included
you
in.
just go 20 meters more down. You add the 10 to the
Yeah,
20
so here you
equals
were
to
10 and then you added 20 meters so you can reach 30 meters.
30.
Do you get it now, Zain?
Yeah, but like
Okay.
in the middle,
So
it is
as you
20.
guys go deeper, as you go deeper and deeper, huh, more water is actually pressing down on you.
Down on you.
Yeah.
Okay. More water is pressing down on you. You have more pressure going on. Here, the water was pressing down on you. Let me change the color. So here, the water was pressing down on you. Can you
50 meters now.
we have pressure. Here, you will have more pressure, right? And then
Yeah.
down there, you'll have more pressure. And as you go deeper, the water
Uh,
presses down into you more and more. So that's what we
Miss, I
mean
yeah.
have a
by
question.
the water pressure. Okay. So now you guys understand how water pressure increases
Yeah.
Yeah.
as you go deeper. Okay, I want you to see this picture in here. So here we have, oh my God, I moved too much. Let me get into the page. Okay, yeah, here.
Miss, I wanted
Can
to
you see
say
this?
something.
Can you see this?
Yes,
Uh,
it's a
Yes.
big and small.
Those 2 cups of water, you would think that those are different cups of water, right?
no, they're
We have a
not.
big one and a
And a
small.
small one.
But actually, the small one,
Yeah.
this one, used to be the same size as the big one, but once it got into a high pressure, it was pressed down. Can you see that?
So
Yeah.
this same
Yes,
cup.
And
it
I
was pressed
dropped it
down, so
above
it
it.
got smaller like this, but it's actually the
It
same
was the
size
same
as
cup.
the big one. Yes?
These are considered the same cup.
These are
These
what?
are the same.
You were just considered the same cuts, but the pressure made the cup smaller.
Yes, thank you, Schlock. Well done, yes. So it's like they
But
were
how?
supposed to be the same size. One of them, which is the one on the left, were they put it under a high water pressure, and that's why it kind of got pressed down. That's why humans cannot go into really deep oceans. We can go
They
into,
were just
for
little
example,
boy.
we can go into 100 meters under the water. It's impossible for our bodies to actually
Ocean is the twice
get.
size of Mount Everest, I think so. I saw it once on safari.
I can't hear you.
The ocean is the 2 times of the Mount Everest, I think so.
Yes, yes, that's right. There is a point which is the deepest point, but let me just not move to next points before saying that. So This is why it's impossible for us as humans to go deeper in the oceans because we are actually getting also pressed. So our bones and the lung and all most of the organs in our body will not be able to actually survive in deep oceans, very deep oceans, because of the pressure. The water pressure will actually press us down, which of course will lead us to die, which is nothing I hope for. But yeah, so we have three things or three factors or three details that determine the conditions or describe the conditions of deep ocean. So we have temperature, we have light, and
Pressure.
pressure. Yes, temperature gets less and less or decreases as we go deeper in the ocean, so which means it gets colder and colder.
Yes.
The light also gets darker and darker, and pressure also
Yes.
increases. So pressure
Because
is the
the
only
water
one that increases. So what is pressure? It's the downward push of water in a given
is
area.
given.
So that was the three conditions of the water. That was all
Yes.
for today. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll learn about the ocean floor.
Yes. There were four. Four, I
No,
think so.
salinity doesn't change much with depths.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why it's not considered one of the details. But inshallah,
Okay.
we'll learn about the different ocean floor or how it looks different, like this one here, because I think
Mhm.
everything is almost over. I think the next session will start right now.
In
So
5 minutes, actually,
do
not
you
right
guys
now.
do you guys get it? Well, there is different time now because we're having we're
Yes, yes, we can.
actually using Ramadan. Yeah.
Miss, Miss Noha,
Yes.
Miss, today the session started at 8 only, right?
Yes, because we're
Yeah,
using
because the
Ramadan
Ramadan
timetable.
started
Yes, and we finish all of the session at what time?
8:30.
Well, I think the first session ends at 8 30, I think.
No,
Yeah,
The last
I
session.
know,
No,
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 Miss, I
guys, the
want
8
to know
it
about the
ends
last
1:10.
session.
actually ends at
1:10.
8:45.
1:10.
So we still have
110?
time. No, we still have
Yeah.
time.
The last session finishes at 1:10, I think so.
The last one, yes, I think so too. But we still have time. Okay, so let's move to the ocean floor. I thought it ends at 8:30, so I'm so sorry about that I got confused. But yes,
Mhm.
guys, the session started today a little bit late because now we're using the Ramadan timetable. This week we're using Ramadan timetable. So the first session starts at 8 o'clock,
Is
okay,
that
and it
also in the
ends
real
at
school?
8:45. Yes?
Is that also in the real school? In
Yes,
like
it's
physical?
also in the physical school, yes. The first session starts at
Yes.
8, and you guys can come to the school, I think, at 7:45.
Yeah, the gate will close at 8.
Yes, gates will close at
Oh,
8. So
that's
don't
good
come at
news
8,
because I come to
just come before that.
Yeah,
I
there is
come
actually.
to-
Now we'll move to the ocean floor. And you guys can imagine that ocean is not only water, it's actually more than that. So in here, this is a simple
There are
picture
volcanoes
of
and
how the
sand and
ocean
rocks
looks.
inside the ocean.
Yes, Shlock.
There are volcanoes. I see mountains and
Yes, that's right.
rocks
And
and
there are
sand inside the
volcanoes and
sun.
stuff like that. Okay, thank you so
Yes,
much,
Miss,
Shlock. Next time, please try to raise your hands, okay? Because you guys are speaking together and I can hear most of what you're saying, okay? So the ocean floor is not just a flat floor and that's it. It's not only just a bunch of sand and that's it. No, it's actually more than that. It's made up of different landmarks. Yes, all day. You're raising your hand.
Miss, how the volcano explode under the water? How?
It can
with the
explode
tsunami.
under water. Once the magma comes out, it can
I took this
explode under
in
water.
term 3, I think so.
It's it.
Yeah.
It's
In
okay.
chapter
Like
not
They make it a
too hot
tsunami.
for the water. It's
2.
too hot for the water, so the water can actually cannot put it down. I will show you some volcanoes erupting under the water. There are some
Yeah.
places where hot air comes from down the earth and keeps the deep water hot in some places. But let's not move to this point right now. Let's
I
just
think so. They
start
come
with
from something called
the
touch.
simple ocean floor. Shock, you still talking without permission. Okay?
Look.
Yes, I can hear you understand this point, but please just raise your hand before that. I know you understand it. Okay, so let me zoom into the first part of the ocean, the one where we actually can dive and move around. So as you guys can see, this is the part of the continental shelf. Continental shelf. Okay. This is the first part of the ocean where people can swim and do stuff like that. It's easy. You can still see the sea floor or the ocean floor. Okay. You can see this difference, or this look in the Red Sea. If you guys went to the Red Sea and you went into diving or something, you can see this difference. So we have the continental shelf, which is the first part, as I said, from the
Yes,
ocean.
it's a
Yes.
Yes, miss,
But
in
then
Sharm
it
el-Sheikh, there are
separates.
mountains in the water.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, as I said, you can see that difference in Red Sea. So after this, we have a huge slope, or it's kind of steep hill, which we call the continental slope. Okay, this is the next part. So we have the continental shelf and the continental slope. I actually saw those parts in real life. It's kind of scary because it's after the continental
Yes.
shelf, it's so deep and so dark, you cannot see anything after that.
Directly comes.
Yes,
You're
this is
walking down,
like,
you can
yeah,
just
it doesn't
slide
have
down.
like, it's not
Oh,
changed gradually, not like the Mediterranean Sea here, for example. Like we get deeper and deeper as we move inside the sea, but in Red Sea, it's just it ends directly because we have continental shelf. You guys learned about erosion and weathering. Remember that?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes,
11
erosion
lesson.
was when the water or ice or wind carried the sediments from one
Breaks
place to
down.
another. So
Yes,
it happens here also.
No, weathering breaks down the rocks
Did I say
or
weathering or erosion?
you said weathering.
Oh,
Weathering
sorry.
actually breaks down
Weathering is
mountains by
breaking
water
down.
and
Yes, I'm sorry,
sun.
guys. I got confused. It's
yes.
erosion, which is the movement of the sediment from one place to another. So as the sediment moves from the surface, or we can say the continental shelf, or the part of the land, it actually comes down
At
here,
the bottom.
deposits in here. Can you guys see this hell? This
Yes,
small pile
actually, it's
of
a very
sediment.
rock.
This is called, this is, has a name,
Sediment.
it's called continental rise. Okay. So in here we have, again, the continental shelf, the continental slope. It's moving down steeply. And then we have the continental rise where all the sediments actually is piled up يعني بيتكون فوق بعضه. Okay.
Yes. Right.
After that, we have this huge part of the ocean floor, which we call the axial plane. Axial plane. Do you know axial? What does axial mean?
Uh,
Can you
Is it
guess?
flat?
yeah.
Flat.
So flat.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
flat,
Not
flat, miss.
100% flat because we have
People's
mountains
Mountain.
and volcanoes and stuff like that. But
Yes.
most of it is actually flat water.
uh,
But can you imagine what do you mean by axial plane?
Like steep.
Yes,
So
it's not steep,
Uneven.
straight.
uneven. Well, you're close.
like
Uh,
it's
with steep mountains.
Yeah, so it's
Volcanic.
related. It's related to the
Eh?
ocean waters. Okay,
Mm.
okay, and it's deep places, deep ones like this in here. It can be so flat part, or it can contain volcanoes like this one, or we can say mountains. We have this huge crack. Can you see this huge crack in the water?
yes, the rift.
Yeah, the Rift Valley
Well, this
formed.
is this part is called the Rift Valley, but the crack itself, it's called the mid-ocean
The
ridge.
mid.
This is a
The
very
mid-ocean
famous
ridge.
place. Yes, it's called the mid-ocean ridge, where the tectonic plates kind of separate in this place, making this huge rift or huge crack.
Yeah.
And this one we call the mid-oceanic rift ridge. So some of the words are so new for you guys. I know that maybe they're kind of hard, but I know you guys understand most of them. But in here, just let me say something quickly because we don't have enough time, only have 3 minutes. So here we have the continental shelf again. This is the beginning of the ocean, the place where it's still a little bit shallow. As we go deeper, we have this continental slope where the ocean floor actually huh, slopes or steeply moves downwards. Okay, so steep. And then we have the flat place. The rest of the ocean is actually called the axial plane. This axial plane can contain seamounts, can contain volcanoes. It contains also huge crack, which we call the oceanic trench, or we can say the mid-oceanic ridge. Next time you will learn more about these ocean landmarks. Did you guys understand today's session?
Yeah, miss it.
Did you get most of it? So how many details can we talk
Yes.
about in the oceans?
In the ocean, we
How many
talk
details? Can you tell
about
me?
the
Pure ocean.
continental shelf and the continental slope,
Yes. So those are the ocean
the mid.
parts. But what I'm saying that what are the details that describe the conditions? Conditions. Huh? Okay. So we have three: the temperature, the light, and the water
Oh,
pressure. Yes.
picture and light.
Salinity is not considered one because it does not change much with the depth. So now we'll take the absentees. Okay.